Welcome to the morning after CFFL edition, Week 14 of the NFL, Wildcard Week here in the CFFL. Was another interesting week in the CFFL as we head down to the Final Four now in the CFFL. So let's get right into the action of the week that was. Starting first with the big game between the Bone Storm and the Black Dingoes. Bone Storm hold on to win 72.5 to 56.5. Bone Storm continue their trend of winning their first playoff game. We'll see if they can continue that and break that, I should say, and actually win their second one here. Be the first time. They will have a big game next week, and we'll get into that coming up. The Bruisers fall in Rogers We Trust, 101 to 69. Matthew Stafford, Jonathan Stewart, and DeMarco Murray combined for 51 points for In Rogers We Trust. Bruisers had Jordy Nelson and Matt Forte, but it wasn't enough as they fall to In Rogers We Trust. Next up, we have the playoff consolation round. We had the Donkeys take down the Cardinals 89.5 to 88.5. Kind of a good summation of my season right there. Had a pretty good week, but Le'Veon Bell had a huge day. Cam Newton had a huge day. Just not a real good week for the Cardinals. Actually, good week for the Cardinals. But yeah, not enough to take down the Donkeys. Donkeys will play the Gargoyles, who won their match against the Garbage Men, so they get to play the lower seed. And the other game, we saw Team LBM take down the Kongs, 42 to 35. Team LBM will play the Garbage Men as they battle for the Jim Shavina coveted belt, which Griff currently has, trying to win it for the second time in a row. No one has ever done that, Griff, so we'll see if you can pull that off. Player of the week, we mentioned him earlier. Le'Veon Bell had a ridiculous day. 185 yards rushing, 3 total touchdowns, 50 yards receiving, and 30.5 points. His best game of his career. Surprise against me this year. The one who was giving up more points this year was DK's Kongs. So disappointing for that, but a huge day for Le'Veon and a big game for the Donkeys. Walk of shame, amazingly went to Peyton Manning. 173 yards passing and only 3 points. First time not throwing a touchdown in 52 games. So surprising week there. Next up, we have Griff's Gripe. Griff this week, let's find it here. Unfortunately, the email is loading very slow here. Nice game on Saturday, Wisconsin. Reminds me of the beatdown the Gargoyles suffered this year throughout the year. Now Gordon is out of the Heisman race, and the Badgers get to go to the Outback Bowl and lose to an SEC team for about the 10th time in the last 12 years. Oh well, at least they don't have Belam anymore. And unfortunately, I can't call myself the best drafter anymore either. Disappointing to miss the playoffs. Oh well, maybe next year. Really surprising, Griff, to hear you so modest and stuff like that on that. I'm sure that there was some problems with the email, but I think that's what you said. I may have had to improvise a little bit with some of that stuff, but I'm happy you're finally admitting you're not the best drafter, considering no playoff wins, stuff like that. So good for you, Griff. Good for you to come in grips with reality. And maybe next year, maybe you'll draft a better team and actually make the playoffs. And when you do make the playoffs, maybe you'll win a playoff game. So we'll see, Griff. Best of luck to you next year. You got the playoff consolation on yet, so maybe there for you. Yobich, top free agent pickup of the week. Derek Carr with 17 points. At this point, we're kind of grasping at straws. There's not a whole lot out there, but a quarterback who might be able to put up some points in case of injury is probably the best there. Games next week, we have In Rogers We Trust, the number 3 seed taking on the number 2 seed Horn Dogs, and the number 5 seed Bone Storm will take on the Badgers. Also, in terms of the money games, we have the Black Dingoes taking on the Bruisers for the 5th place game. And that, as you can see here in the prize money, the Black Dingo and Bruiser game is worth another $20. They've each won $30 so far. The Horn Dogs, Badgers, In Rogers We Trust, and Bone Storm have each won their money back of $75. If they win this week, they win another $125. And if they lose, they have a chance to win a little more next week. Also, as you can see, the Badgers this year did win the high point total. They had 4 of them throughout the year. 3 of them, I think, the first 3 weeks, and only 1 the rest of the way, but enough to still get it. They get a $15, and the Badgers also got the record asterisk with 76 points per week and earned $60 there. So far, the Badgers have won $150. So congratulations, Bites. It's not bad. Not bad at all. Next up, we get, I promised you, the All Fantasy team. I'll deliver that this week, and next week is Fantasy Honors, and then the final week we'll kind of look back at the best and worst picks of each team. But now we have All Fantasy team. Quarterback, pretty easy one. Possible MVP, Andrew Luck with 20.3 points per game. Last year I noticed Peyton Manning at 21.8, so record year for him, and Andrew Luck almost had that. So great game as the garbage men celebrate their All Fantasy quarterback. DeMarco Murray at running back with 11.8 points per game for In Rodgers We Trust and T. Reeves. Marshawn Lynch with 11.2 for the Badgers. At running back, the second running back. Top receiver, Antonio Brown with 11.5 points per game for the Black Dingoes. Demarius Thomas with 10.8 for the Bone Storm. Jordy Nelson with 9.9 for the Bruisers. The flex position went to Arian Foster again with the Black Dingoes at 10.5 points per game. Black Dingoes had a tremendous trio of players. The rest of the team was kind of questionable, but those guys really did carry him. And especially when Foster played, he averaged 12.5, which would have been the top running back in fantasy this year if he would have played every week. He missed 3 games, which brought him down a little bit. Fantasy kicker went to Steven Gostkowski, 11.1 points per game. And finally, we had Philadelphia Eagles defense with 8.8 points per game. Last year, the Kansas City Chiefs had a pretty good defense, especially early on in the year, and they averaged 7.1. So Eagles defense was tremendous this year. Granted, it was touchdown or bust, but it helped my team a little bit. Not enough, I guess, to make the playoffs. But that is it for this week. We will be back next week to take a look at where things stand as we head into the OK Bowl number 8, I believe, and Super Bowl number 21. So best of luck to everyone that's still playing, and I will see you guys next week with the Fantasy Honors and the week that was. All right, thanks. Bye.